Hello, 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 my friends. Let me see here. Let's get this picture out of the way so I can see all your bright, shiny faces. Welcome to Secrets of Human Influence. Today's going to be an amazingly cool adventure, and we're going to kick it old school a little bit. So let me preface today's webinar by asking you a basic question. And it goes like this. What if the real secret to getting anything in life that you wanted wasn't actually hard work or harder work or even better offers or even more confidence, but in fact knowing a few key methods that would allow you to access the hidden back door into every human being nervous system, a system that can allow you to begin to trigger amazing connections, validations, trust, belief. And what if all of this was possible in a completely ethical, simple to understand, easy to implement methodology that would actually make people love you more for using it than if you actually didn't? Over the next 120 minutes or so, give or take, I'm going to show you exactly what those back doors are, how they work, and how you can begin using them so that you can ethically influence people to naturally like you, trust you, and want to do the things you ask for their reasons, and have you actually have them thanking you for it, right? It's a methodology and a system that I've been using most of my adult life. I can honestly say now that I've been using it longer than I haven't, right? And if you just take the few things I'm going to share with you today, and again, I'm going to share with you some of the most radioactive aspects of a very powerful full spectrum approach to human influence. It's one I've been honing and mastering and developing for close to 30 years, 40 years probably now that I think about it, right? And I'll take you as far as I can in the time that we have and give you some stuff that you can put into practice right away. And I will point you in the direction of where to go to level up and take the next step if that's something you feel like you're ready for and that you deserve. Does that sound like a fair deal? If you go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and open up my chat so I can see everybody. And as often happens when I first log on to a webinar, sometimes the chat settings are, as this one is, set only to host and panel. So everybody's now in the chat. I can now see your chats. Go ahead and type in if what I just offered to you is acceptable, if that's a fair shake. Go as far as we can in the time we have. Show you where to go for the rest. If you like that idea, go ahead and type "that's a fair trade" in the chat for me. And then also, I know Mia was talking to some of the folks in YouTube land. I spent the last hour, believe it or not, just answering questions with them. And now it's my turn to focus on you guys, right? I'm still going to be having conversations with our YouTubers, but I want you guys to just go ahead and tell me where you're checking in from if this is your first time checking into our webinar and stuff like that. So let me see what we got here. Let's look at participants. Okay, very good. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. So let's see if we're in the right place, shall we? So if you can answer yes to any of these questions, what I want you to do is I want you to say "that's me" in the chat. Okay, just type "yes, that's me." How many of you, by a show of hands, would like to be more attractive to everyone, whether it's members of the opposite sex, the same sex? How many of you would like them to just find you to be a charming, fascinating, inspirational, maybe even irresistible version of yourself? If you'd like more of that in your life, go ahead and type that in the chat. How many of you, by a show of hands, or "that's me" in the chat, would like to remove fear from your life completely, or banish it in such a way that fear plays very little role in the decisions you make from day to day to day? How many of you would like to make more money at your job, start a new business, write that book, get more clients, right? It's on the agenda. If you take the skills that I'm going to share with you over the next 90 to 120 minutes, you're going to be booking more clients, you're going to be getting more dates, you're going to be sharing more connections with your prospects and the people closest to you, right? If you'd like to learn how to protect yourself from the manipulators of the world, right? And easily handle difficult people. In fact, I was fielding a couple of questions along those lines in the chat. This is exactly where you need to be, okay? If you'd like to have people feeling and acting the way you want them to, so that they naturally want to follow your lead, this is a great place for you to get that process started right now, right? If you're ready to program yourself for massive financial abundance and more than enough money to buy the things you want, this is where that starts, okay? If you've ever fantasized, like me, when I was a kid and I was first learning about hypnosis, I always thought, wow, wouldn't it be cool if I could just, these are not the droids you're looking for. Well, I don't know that we can go that far, but if you've ever thought about being able to, or wanting to have the ability to put people under your spell, so to speak, or really just have them hanging on your every word and be utterly fascinated and induce hypnotic trances in people just through the power of your words, that's on the to-do list, right? We can show you how to do that, right? If you'd like to be the person that everyone you meet likes and admires and finds the most fascinating person in the room, this is going to be one of the most important trainings you've ever had. And finally, this is my pet peeve. If you're the kind of person who hates small talk, if you, whenever you meet somebody who you think might be interesting, you just don't know what to say or afraid you're going to say something stupid or the words just kind of lock, this is going to be one of the most important meetups or the most important webinars that you can experience. Okay? All right. That being said, let's see what our chatters have to say here. Hold on a second. So we got Tracy. She's largest alpine desert in the world, south central Colorado. Nice. Colorado in the house. More money. Yes. Paul says, who wouldn't, right? What does Paul hate? Paul hates what? All right. Charlotte says, hi, sweethearts. Charlotte's always so kind to us. All right. Let's start off with the basics and the fundamentals of human influence. And this is where we really kind of get into the meat of things, right? First of all, let me start off with my standard disclaimer, which hopefully I've talked enough that the algorithm is not going to ding me for saying this. If politically incorrect language, colorful metaphors, swearing, or the word boobies offends you, this is probably not the channel for you. This is probably not the best place for you to come to learn how to influence people. I'm not somebody who seeks to offend anyone. I am someone who does like to speak very, very plainly, very bluntly, and very viscerally. I like to provoke you. I like to stimulate your emotions. And the reason you want to stimulate people's emotions is that's how you get and keep attention. It's not facts, it's not data. It's getting people's feelings involved, right? So the best part about what you're going to learn tonight is that you don't have to believe a single thing that I am going to be teaching you tonight. The things I'm going to teach you are belief independent. All I ask is that you take what you get from tonight's webinar and you go out into the world and you apply it and test it for yourself. When you test it, you'll discover just how dramatically it works and you'll be ready to take the next step. I don't ask you to take anything on faith. In the self-help industry, persuasion world, there's way too many people selling promises. I'm selling reality for you. I'm giving you guys the opportunity to get something that truly works. I'm giving it to you for free because everyone needs proof. All right? So let's start with some basic fundamental ideas about human influence. Everything human beings do is in response to a feeling. It's either a feeling they want more of or a feeling they want a whole lot less of. Your job is to move through the world figuring out what feelings they want to have and engineering a way for them to get it. That's all you have to do. If you have to know what you want, you have to know what they want, and you have to find a way for those two things to come together. Now, I'm going to show you some of the most powerful ways to do that. So much so that if you stay on till the end of the webinar, I promise you this. I'm going to teach you the fastest, most powerful, and ethical way to influence anyone to like, love, trust, and even obey you with the minimum amount of effort. Right? When you realize the power of what you're going to get tonight, it's gonna be like, this can't be that easy. It just can't. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Right? Influence doesn't have to be difficult. You don't need a lot of it. Right? Now, a lot of you are going to want the full system, and I'll show you how to get access to that. But it's not necessary yet. Take these pieces, apply them in your life, feel the results on yourself, by yourself, and then apply them to everyone around you and notice how your life starts to change. I'm also going to teach you how to have people hanging on your every word, how to have people salivating, literally in many cases, to do what you want them to do. right? Along the way, we're going to learn some of the most powerful master keys for how to control your emotions and remove resistance to your influence. Ultimately, the end result of tonight, we're going to give you the exact steps you need to move from just interesting information, which is what most webinars are out in the real world, to powerful persuasion and transformation skills in minimum time. So what are we going to start with that? We're going to start with the secret backdoor into the human nervous system. A backdoor that nature put there. Society has made it even more powerful. Societal programming has made it even more powerful and more useful than ever before. And when you utilize it, it literally forces a person's neurology to pay exclusive attention to you. And one of the things that's part and parcel of human influence, and this is important, the currency of relationships. And that's what we're talking about in this training. We're not really talking about just robotic influence. We're talking about generating intensely powerful, intensely fulfilling relationships that people will do whatever you want them to do to keep and maintain. All ethically, all honestly. Right? That's the beauty of the system. There's no need to, you never need to lie, cheat, steal, or manipulate. You don't need to mislead people in any way, shape, or form. All you need to do is ask the right questions and speak the answers that they need to hear in the right way. And as long as you're being truthful, you're not being manipulative, you're being the most ethical version of yourself that you can be. Right? So this one back door literally guarantees that they will pay attention to you and exclusively to you. And that's an important thing, because in a world where everything is happening at internet speeds multiplied by the power of AI, attention goes fast. And when you utilize this particular methodology, you're the only person they can pay attention to. Right? It's a simple, easy, fast, effective way to do it. We're also going to talk about what we call the secrets of emotional bonding. When I was doing my little pre-flight warm-up, I happened to actually start the YouTube live stream a little bit early, right? And I was about an hour off actually in my timing. And so the chat opened up and people started showing up an hour before the webinar, and they started peppering me with questions. And one of the questions that came up was, what of all the things I know, what are the two most powerful or the most influential and important techniques that I've ever come across? And it's exactly what you're going to be learning on this webinar tonight is the secret backdoor that we're talking about, and of course the secret of emotional bonding and attraction. And this is why it's important. You see, every human being that you meet is moving through the world trying to check off little boxes in their minds and in their hearts, right? Classical NLP calls this emotional need level criteria and values. So as I'm going through tonight's class, if you hear me say criteria and values, understand I'm talking about emotional needs, right? The difference between what some teachers talk about in terms of emotional needs versus what I'm talking about is the emotional needs I'm talking about define what you believe is right and wrong in your life, what's desirable and what isn't. But at a much smaller, deeper level, they're very context dependent. So some teachers out there, some of whom I respect greatly, are teaching what they call social needs, the need to be seen as significant or intelligent or strong, or they need pity, or these are called social needs, right? And these are things you can spot visually in people, and they're generic. We're going to go one or two levels deeper into a level of need that a person literally can't go against. Okay? One of the things I want you to take away from tonight is when people are confronted with their emotional needs, they either experience intense pleasure and desire or pain. Now, let me explain that. When you start talking about the things that people value on an emotional level, their neurology lights up like a Christmas tree. You can't miss it, right? If this were a face reading class, which I just finished yesterday, we would call it shedding in. The neurology literally is stimulated to the point where there's Their eyes are brighter, their skin has more tonality or glow to it because they're excited. They experience desire and they experience pleasure, right? When someone has their values violated, they can shen in. In other words, they can get just as aggressive attacking the thing that's trying to violate their values. But what happens more often than not, people can't have their values violated without experiencing emotional pain, right? So everything that human beings do is in response to a feeling. It's either a feeling they want more of or a feeling they want a whole lot less of, right? But they're feelings nonetheless. When we talk about emotional needs, we're talking about things that define the ideal anything in a person's world. Okay, this is one of the topics we're going to be covering in depth tonight, and if we have the opportunity, I'm going to actually guide you through a process where you get to experience what it's like to have your own emotional needs stimulated. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about the 4 pillars of irresistible hypnotic influence, the 4 macro categories of human influence, that if you master each of these pillars, people will just do what you want whenever you want, because you ask them to, in many cases, right? Each of these has techniques within them. And again, there's a certain hierarchy to them that we'll talk about. I'm going to keep things very, very user-friendly tonight, right? Clearly, if this is the scope of everything I'm describing right now, I got time for this. So I promise you, I'm not just going to bait and switch you, right? I'm going to take you as far as I can in the short time that we have. I will point you in the direction of where to go to level up your skills and get access to the full trainings that I can offer and provide for you, if that's fair, okay? We're going to talk a little bit more, probably on the end at part 3 of the webinar, we'll talk a little bit more about something called resistance removal. Most people move through the world hearing the word no, 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 over and over and over again, right? And in classic sales training, they're going to give you, well, if this person has a price objection, use this. If this person has a time objection, use this. If this person has to talk to their spouse, use this. I'm going to give you a different way to approach things in terms of removing. In my world, there is no such thing as resistance, right? There's only more understanding or less understanding. My experience has been that when you encounter resistance to persuasion, there's really only 2 things going on. The person either wants to follow your influence or they don't, right? The question is, why don't they want to follow it? And it usually stems down to 2 things. A, they're either afraid. There's something about what you're describing or offering that's making them feel in danger. The other is they don't understand. And that's more often the case. Because when people truly understand what you have to offer in a way that's relevant to them, and you keep that connection locked in, they will tend to do what you want them to do by default. The disconnect happens is what you're describing isn't how they perceive what you're describing. So there's a difference many times between the intention of your communication and the interpretation of it. I'm going to show you in no uncertain terms how to make your intention and your interpretation do this, so the unconscious mind of the person that you're expressing yourself to gets the exact feelings they most need and want from you to do the thing you want them to do. Ultimately, when you put all these things together, you're going to have a very powerful toolkit that allows you to take control of every place in your life where communication and influence is desirable, both in your own mind and in the minds and hearts of other people. And what's interesting in terms of what we're going to teach you how to do is we're going to teach you not how to influence the head, which is one of the big myths of influence and persuasion. Most people like to believe that they're influenced by the facts in a situation or a presentation. That is patently not true. Study after study after study has shown us that it is the emotions a person's feeling towards or away from that will determine the perceptions they have and the behaviors they engage in. You're going to learn how to take direct charge of all of that with a couple of very easy, simple techniques. Now, the techniques in this course are proven. They've come directly from my Killer Influence Secrets of Covert Hypnosis training program. This program has been around since 2006, and since 2020, it has been voted and named the #1 NLP training program in the world by hundreds and thousands of people voting on a website I had no idea even was doing these kinds of rankings until very, very recently. So I'm going to show you exactly why this is the most powerful system of influence on the planet, why it's so fun and easy to use. We're going to explore a few key techniques together. I'm going to show you as much as I can in the time that we have. And then I'm going to circle back and I'm going to show you how to get access to the complete system. If that sounds like a good plan for today, go ahead and type "sounds good to me" in the chat. Right. I do love questions, by the way. The problem that we have a lot of times is that many times the questions that people asking sometimes take us off the pathway of our focus and our learning today. So here's 2 or 3 ways you can get your questions answered. A, type it in the chat. If I see it and it's relevant to where we're at, it's not going to take us down a squirrel trail or a rabbit hole, then I'll answer it. If I feel like it's going to take us in a direction that we can't go, we don't have time for, then I will defer to answer that question at a later time. If any of my NLP Power veterans, people who've been around Planet David for any length of time, see that question and you have experience answering that question, by all means, type in your answer and in a way that doesn't distract them from the body of the webinar, right? But that's one of the problems that we have. Whenever there's a lot of side chatter, you can't pay attention to the chat and me at the same time. And you came here to learn some cool stuff, right? So if the person does answer you, right? Remember, only answer the question if you actually have experience utilizing our technologies to do the thing we're talking about. Tracy says, "Always love learning from you, David." Well, thank you, Tracy. That melts my heart. Thank you so much. And I love your name. My daughter's name is Tracy. I have so many Tracys in my life, and they're all cool people. Ben Baldwin says, "But you do go down the rabbit hole anyway," and that's the beautiful thing about Planet David. It's true. Guilty, dudes. I'm sorry. I am a complete rabbit holer, which sounds almost pornographic when you think about it, right? I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. It's not really a secret. I love this. I love teaching. I love presenting. I love being with you, either virtually or in person. I was answering a question in the chat, and people asked me, or someone was asking, I have to do a presentation. How do I get over feeling self-conscious and get them to like me? And I said, love your audience. Love your audience, want only what's best for them, and have as much fun as humanly possible. That's my secret to public speaking, believe it or not. Is when I get up here, I'm doing the thing I love with the people I love most, and I'm having the best time humanly possible, and I want you guys to have the best experience I can give you. That's it, right? Some people like that, some people don't, but it's as long as I'm having fun, I'm going to keep doing it, right? So, couple of keys, right? If you haven't picked this up already, I'm not using much of a PowerPoint today, right? And there's a reason for that. I hate them. PowerPoints put you in an unresourceful trance. They're great for screenshots and taking notes and stuff like that, but they don't really help you because most of the time what happens is you see the PowerPoint, you read it, you take notes, you take a screenshot, it goes in a file, you never fucking look at it again, right? This way I've got your attention, right? And attention, my friends, is the currency of all relationships. When a relationship goes south, it's because somebody's not paying attention or getting the attention that they need and want. True, not true? Did all of you stay in a relationship because of attention you were getting or weren't? Right? Kids will tell you that right up front. Kids will show you that right up front. If a child can't get your attention in a good way, they'll get it in another way, right? So, how do we do that? How do we literally, in a positive way, force a person to pay attention exclusively to you and zero out all the distractions? We're going to start with that technique. I call it the secret back door into the human nervous system. Why? Because that gets your attention. It's called the echo technique, and if you've been on any of my previous webinars or any of my courses, it is the first thing I teach you. Why? Because it's the most powerful thing I can teach you. So here's the deal. The most powerful words any human being can hear at any given moment are the words that just came out of their mouth. Repeat that. The most powerful words any human being can hear at any given moment are the words that just came out of their mouth. Okay? And I've been challenged on this so many times. I've been in seminars, rooms of hundreds of people, and I say this, and somebody raises their hand and they say, I don't believe it. And I go, you don't believe it? And for the next 10 or 15 minutes, all I'm doing is echoing their words back to them. And everyone around them is busting up laughing, and the person I'm echoing has no clue what I'm talking about. They don't perceive their own words as being their own words. They perceive it as communication that feels absolutely right. And what's interesting about the echo technique, as we call it, is it's been validated by numerous different scientists in different types of research under different terms. So if you research clean language by David Groh, I think he was a psychologist or a therapist out of, I think it was either Australia or New Zealand. Please correct me if I'm wrong. My geography isn't the greatest. Chris Voss, in his Tactical Mirroring, talks about it and Never Split the Difference. Alexander Penland, in his book Honest Signals, talks about the power of mimicry. Right? This is a validated principle. Now, here's what you need to know and understand about the echo technique, because it's also the one methodology for communication that everybody loves when they receive it properly. Okay? So, let me go through a few basic notes, even though I'm not going to show you the PowerPoint. Well, maybe I will. Hold on a second. I'm not actually using a PowerPoint. I'm using OneNote, which is almost always a crapshoot. Let me see if I can split the difference here. Quick question: you guys want to see more of me or more of the PowerPoint? All right, let's see if that works. All right, let me see what that looks like. Can you guys see the PowerPoint okay? Cool. All right, is this good? All right. So let's go through why this is important, shall we? The echo technique is, in fact, the most powerful way for one human being to communicate with another. Why? Because it literally forces a person's neurology to pay attention to you more often than not, to the exclusion of everything else. How many of you have ever been to a thing called a party? Just show of hand, type it in the chat if you've ever been to a party. Boo. Right? Right. So how many of you have ever had this experience? You're at a party, lots of people milling around. You're on one side of the room talking to somebody. Maybe your back's to the rest of the crowd because you don't like crowds. And somewhere in the room, far away, somebody says your name or what you think is your name. Does this happen? And you turn around and you look at the source of your name, right? How does that happen? Or why? It's because your unconscious mind, the reptile part of you, the autonomic nervous system part of you, that's constantly scanning for anything in your environment that's relative to you. Your nervous system is inherently selfish. And so when you hear anything that your nervous system believes is relevant to yourself, it catches your attention. Now, when you actually effectively echo a person's words, it triggers all of their validation mechanisms. So let me scroll down a little bit. I'm jumping around a little bit. You see, your nervous system is moving through the world looking for itself. It's literally sending out little messages looking for people who are like ourselves. This is one of the more controversial things, that I'm going to say today. Every human nervous system on the planet is inherently biased, inherently selfish, and feels most comfortable around nervous systems that are most like itself. So you, as an influencer, will never go wrong morphing how you present yourself to match what the person identifies with. The echo technique is, in fact, the easiest, simplest, most powerful bridge between controlling your state and building rapport through your physiology and through your language. Why? On the most basic level, when words come out of a person's mouth, it has been passed through every division of their neurology, every filter, every belief, every value, every past experience. There's a whole lattice of neurological gates or filters or locks, for lack of a better word, that those words had to pass through in order to reach your mouth and out into the world. When those words come back, there is no translation error. Every meaning that your neurology assigned to those words on the way out is triggered on the way back in. And so what happens is the nervous system receives this massive validation from the external environment, meaning you. And the barriers and the defense mechanisms start to dissolve and go down because you're perceived as becoming as safer and safer and safer and safer. And the human nervous system craves safety. It also craves connection and validation. When a person gets their very own words back from you in a congruent way, and I'll talk about that congruent way in just a moment. When those words come back to you in a congruent way, it triggers your sense of validation. You feel like this person gets you. You feel like this person understands you. Not only that, you feel like this person approves of you. And those are the feelings that every human being on the planet is desperate for. Desperate for. And all you have to do to give somebody that experience is use their very own words. Now, I've been doing this for a long time. And I can count on one hand probably the few times that it's backfired on me and still have most of my fingers left over. That was another question that some of my YouTubers were asking earlier, which I'll talk about. Let's just talk about it now. I'm going to teach you all the things that this program does for you. But before I do, I want to teach you how not to get caught using the echo technique. And why, if you do what I'm about to share with you, it won't matter if you get caught using the echo technique. In fact, it'll help you, right? Now, in classical NLP, there's this concept called pacing. Pacing means to be like someone or to do what somebody else is doing, right? The problem with NLP style pacing, classical NLP style pacing, is that they're trying to make you do too many things at the same time with a nervous system that's not trained to do it. Okay? So in classical NLP, if I'm going to pace you, not only am I going to listen to your words, I'm going to try and match your tonality, I'm going to try and match the speed at which you're talking, the volume at which you're talking, right? The gestures you use when you talk, how you're breathing, and your own nervous system goes into overwhelm because your nervous system cannot manage, without extensive amounts of training, your nervous system cannot manage taking in information, analyzing it, and processing it in exactly the way it's being received without something being out of balance. And so many people who try to do classic NLP style pacing and leading get caught. They flag because their movements aren't natural, they're not in harmony, something is not registering properly with the other person's neurology, and it calls attention to itself. And that's where the old chestnut is. If you're trying to match somebody or pace somebody and they catch you and you keep doing it, it'll piss them off. That is true if you use that model, right? But I'll tell you up front, strategically, if you're actually matching and echoing somebody, we'll switch to echoing now. If you're actually echoing somebody and they catch you, the worst thing you can do is stop. The worst thing you can do is stop. Why? Because there's a frame war going on. They're interpreting what you're doing one way, you're coming from a different place. If you stop what you're doing, you're telling this person that they're right. So if you have to defend your frame, you've already lost. So let me explain to you why echoing is different and how you can use it and never have to worry about being caught ever, right? And here's the simple mindset. Hypothetically, let's suppose that you have learned something powerful. In other words, you've learned to communicate with somebody that makes them feel heard, understood, approved of, validated, accepted, that gives them all the feelings they secretly long for. And you can do that at will. You know how to do that. And then you choose not to do it. Let me say that again. You know exactly how to communicate with someone to make them feel the best they've ever felt, specifically about you, and you chose not to do it. It's completely ethical, it's completely honest, but you choose not to do it. Let me ask you a question. Who's the jerk now? Because that's what the echo technique is really about. The echo technique is about moving through the world, giving people the exact style of communication that biologically, evolutionarily, sociologically, they are programmed to desperately want more of. Okay? It works on me, it works on everybody. Okay? It works on everybody. That's a big claim. I know the algorithm, the YouTube gods are going to ding me for that one, right? But don't believe me. Don't take my word for it. Go out and use it, but use it from what I'm about to tell you next. The way you get caught and it backfires is if you view the echo technique itself as a trick. If you view it as a way to just make somebody like you. Something you're just going to do to a person. Right? If you come at the echo technique from that place, it will still work most of the time. It'll still work most of the time. But if you adopt the echo technique as your standard operating procedure, not just because it makes people like you, but because it allows you as a person to understand the other individual more fully, completely, and deeply. And it signals to them that you get them, that you're paying attention, that you're validating where they're coming from, who they are, their life experiences. When you come from that place, you're coming from a sincere desire to understand who they are and signal to them, consciously or unconsciously, that you get them. Okay? If you come from this place and they catch you, all you have to do is say, look, I'm just doing this because I want to understand you better. Is that okay? Now, who in their right mind is going to say no? Who's going to say no to that? To someone actually taking the extra time and energy to pay attention and want to understand? The answer is not many, and if they do, they've got bigger problems and you don't need them. Okay? So I want you to understand that the echo technique, you can treat it like a trick if you want to. But if you want to get the biggest bang for your buck from the echo technique, come from that place of sincere desire to understand, communicate, and signal, I get you. Now, when you do that, beware. Because now all the good stuff starts. A, they won't shut up. You start echoing somebody properly, they will run off at the mouth like it's nobody's business. Because you've just given them the biggest dopamine and oxytocin hit they've had in months, maybe years. And they're looking at you when it happens. So that those feelings get anchored to you. They'll start elaborating on everything you're echoing back. And here's the best part. The longer they talk, the more attractive and connected to you they become. All from just giving them back their very own words. Okay? All from just giving them back their very own words. Another good thing about this strategically now, if you're one of those people like me who hates small talk, hates talking about the weather, hates talking about, oh, what, do you hear about what Trump's up to now? Or whatever's going, if you hate the small talk of the world, right? And you want to get into deep, meaningful conversations that are fulfilling and satisfying, or you just want to break the ice and not have to carry the load of the conversation, which is what most of us do. Is like we see somebody that we'd really like to meet or we'd like to interact with, but we don't know what to say to them. We don't know how to break the ice, much less keep that conversational momentum going. You won't have to. All you have to do is break the ice, start the echo process. They'll do 80% of the talking. They'll do 80% of it, right? And when they come away from that experience with you, they won't be able to stop thinking about you. And every time they do, they'll think you're the most fascinating conversationalist they've ever met. Period. Right? And that kind of an anchor, that kind of positive regard will stick. Okay? Now, that's just the tip of a very large iceberg. But is that powerful? True, not true? Yes or no? You guys tell me. Type it in the chat if you think that's powerful. Okay? Don't jump in all at once, guys. You must know that I'm deeply insecure and I need all the feedback I can get from the chats. Right? Very want more. Okay. How much of their words does one echo? Denise, echo as much of it as you can without sounding strange. Now, in Killer Influence and CPI and some of our persuasion systems that we're going to give you access to later on, we're going to show you different ways to hide the echo technique in plain sight. But for training, and this is where you guys are at. I don't care if you've been in Planet David for 10 minutes or 10 years or whatever. Whenever I teach anybody the echo technique, I teach them the hardest way to do it. And I teach them the hardest way to do it because it forces your neurology to get better faster. Right? And that's this. Whenever somebody speaks, and it's your turn to speak, use as much of their words in as close to the order and sequence as you can remember. Let me say that 2 more times. When somebody speaks to you, use as many of their words in the order and sequence that you can, as possible, that you can remember. Okay? Now, why am I doing this? A, it forces my memory to evolve. Right? As my brain starts to learn how to keep track of more and more information, it starts getting more efficient at not only retaining the information, but allowing me to analyze the information. Okay? You can't go wrong echoing somebody's words. If somebody gets angry at you, if you echo their words back, the anger will start to diminish because you'll start to create an alliance neurologically with that person's nervous system. Okay? So, I'm going to do a really quick one-on-one. I'm going to do a role play for you guys really quick. Okay, so this is something I used to do many, many years ago. I used to be a martial arts instructor professionally. I had a school for many years in Coral Springs, Florida. I had a few part-time schools when I came out to California, but by and large, the vast majority of my martial arts career, in terms of my professional martial arts, was in Florida. And so, when I first started building my school, I had no money, like none, right? I could tell you stories about how I built that business from nothing. But one of the things I did have going for me at the time was I had good martial arts training, I had good teachers, right? And I had NLP. I had what would become known as the echo technique. Back then, we called it pacing and criteria and values elicitation. And so what would happen is people would call me up, and it would go something like this. Ring, ring. Good afternoon, Coral Springs Martial Arts Academy. This is David. How can I help you? Oh, hi, David. My name is Bernice, and I saw your sign, and I was wondering, do you have classes for 10-year-olds? I'm interested in karate lessons for my 10-year-old son, Josh. Oh, hey, Bernice. So you saw our sign, and you called, and you want to know if we have classes for 10-year-olds. You're interested in classes for your 10-year-old son, Josh? Yeah. Do you have something like that? Bernice, absolutely we have classes for 10-year-olds, especially 10-year-olds like Josh. Can you tell me a little bit more about what's important to you about karate lessons for your 10-year-old son, Josh? Well, David, I'm glad you asked. David, Josh is a really good kid. He's about 10 years old, like I said, and he's really smart. And in fact, he's so smart that his teachers are actually moving him up a grade. And the kids in a grade above him are a little bit bigger and they're a little bit more mature. And, I was concerned because he's going to be surrounded by all these big kids and I'm afraid he might get picked on. But I also heard that martial arts was a great way for kids to develop focus and concentration and relieve stress. And I was wondering, can you help me? Do you have something like that? Bernice, that's fantastic. So let me see if I understand you correctly. Josh, your son Josh is a great kid. In fact, he's really smart. He's so smart, in fact, that his teachers moved him up a grade. And the kids are a little bit bigger than him, and you're worried that he might be picked on. But you also heard that the martial arts was a great way for kids to learn focus and concentration and relieve stress. Is that true? Yeah, David, can you help me? Absolutely. Bernice, for hundreds of years, the martial arts has been a way for kids just like Josh, who are smart, maybe a little small, to be able to develop their focus, their concentration, and ultimately to protect themselves against the bullies of the world. Now, I don't know what your schedule's like, but we have two ways that Josh can give us a test drive. We have 2 private lessons and 1 group class. It comes with a free uniform. It's for $19.97. It's just really a placeholder, really. And then we have 2 group classes and 1 private lesson. Which do you think would be a better fit for Josh? Well, David, I think that the two privates in the group is probably a good idea, because then I can find out if Josh really resonates with what you're doing, and we can go from there. Great. So the 2 privates in the group class is what you like. So I have an appointment available today at 6 p.m. or I have one tomorrow at 5:45. Which would be easier for you? I think tomorrow at 5:45, because then I can do a little, it's kind of last minute. Josh has got homework and stuff tonight. So I think maybe 5:45 tomorrow. That way he can get all his stuff done early, and we can come in and he can just be fully focused on the class. Great. So it's kind of last minute for you, but you think 5:45 tomorrow will be good because Josh will be able to focus on his classes because he'll have all his stuff done. That's great. I'm going to pencil you in, and we will see you tomorrow with Josh at 5:45. Thank you so much, David. I'm really excited to do this. Great. You have a great day. We'll see you and Josh tomorrow. Take care. Click. Okay. 9 out of 10 people show up for that appointment. Now, for those of you watching, those of you paying attention, yes, I know I'm role-playing both sides, so don't get smart with me, right? How many of my words were not Bernice's? Not a whole lot, right? That is exactly the response you get. When I said, oh, you're interested in karate lessons for your 10-year-old son, Josh, and Bernice went, yeah, almost like, how did you know? You will actually get that response. It's like all of a sudden you read their mind. No, you just gave them their words. But it was such a match to what they just said. It just goes right in, right? And I still do this today when I'm talking to people over the phone, or they're interested in an event. I'll be doing this all the time. I haven't stopped. I've just gotten sneakier with it in an ethical way, right? The beautiful thing about the echo technique is that it's simple. In fact, that was actually one of the reasons why my good friend James, you might have seen some 1 or 2 videos of him that I posted on my YouTube channel. Unfortunately, he passed away due to side effects of the COVID vaccine. I think it was 2020 or 2021. And he was brilliant at NLP. He was one of the most skilled people I knew. But he hated this technique. He hated this technique. And the reason he hated it wasn't because it didn't work. He hated it because it was too simple. He hated it because he didn't need 27 years of NLP training under at the heel of the great Bandler or Grinder or James or whoever your NLP mentors are. You can just give somebody their very own words back, and boom, you got 20 years of influence right there. Right? It was just that easy. Anybody could do it. And unfortunately, sometimes in the world of NLP, right? NLP tends to attract people who like to think of themselves as the smartest person in the room. And they often try to prove that they're the smartest person in the room by demonstrating very complicated, very specialized techniques that often don't work in real life, by the way. That's not how I roll, right? I'm somebody who classifies a technique as advanced is if it's easier to apply and works more in more situations than other people, right? So using a person's very own words is the secret backdoor to the human nervous system. If you integrate any messaging you want into that stream of verbatim words, that echo stream that you're giving it, it'll just go in. And most of it will go in unchallenged, right? So Robert is saying, so people will believe what they say to themselves or hear their own word. Yes. Yes, in fact, I forget if it was Aristotle, Plato, or Socrates who said, someone who's not convinced of something themselves won't be convinced by you either, right? Blair Warren, author of Forbidden Keys to Persuasion, said, people resist what you tell them. They never resist what they conclude. David Snyder says, the human nervous system never resists itself. What the nervous system creates, the nervous system accepts. What the nervous system creates, the nervous system accepts. So if the words come out of a nervous system, you give those words back, it's going right in and it's stimulating all the surface level thoughts and beliefs, the mid-level emotions, and the primal drives connected to it. It's getting the whole package. The whole package. And it will trigger increased self-disclosure. In other words, when you start giving a person's words back to them, they will start running off at the mouth. You won't be able to track 80% of their words after a certain level because they're talking so much, because they feel so safe and connected to you that they don't want to give that up. They just want you to have it all, right? And that's the beauty of it. How many people have had experience in the field with the echo technique? Just type "that's me" in the chat. I know some of you have, right? Is this true or not? True or not? Denise says, yep. True, 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 very true. Yes, yes, yes. That's where we start. That one technique right there puts you years, maybe even decades ahead of the average trained salesperson. Okay? And you can use it everywhere. You can use it in texts. You can use it in emails. You can use it over chat. You can use it in Zoom. You can use it on the phone. You can use it on video conferencing. Any place human language is involved, even AI, this will work. Even helps me with my own self-talk. 100% Ben, brilliant. Brilliant observation. This even works on you. If you want to give yourself suggestions, write sales copy. The person that stuff works the best on is you, right? If you want to create powerful, irresistible, hypnotic prose, either written or spoken, all you have to do is remember a time when you had that experience and ask yourself the magic question, how does that happen to me? And describe it verbally. And you will just go eyeballs deep into that state. And everyone around you who's listening to it will go into. Because the nervous system cannot resist a description. You can't resist your own echo. Other people who you're not echoing can't resist the description of it. Now you got a 1-2 punch. Okay? Very good. I like that. All right. Questions about the echo technique before we move on to the next piece? Okay. Good job. Great questions, by the way. You guys are doing really good today. All right, so the next thing I want to do, and we're going to do this as a partner drill together. We're going to talk about emotional bonding. Now, emotional bonding is as powerful as the echo technique is, and it is powerful. If I had to make a choice between echo technique or emotional bonding, I'd be pretty conflicted as to which to go with. But the one that gets you to the emotional bonding is the echo technique. So, and we actually use the echo technique when we do emotional bonding. So let's talk about emotional bonding and why it's important. Every human being that you meet is moving through the world trying to satisfy certain levels of need. Think of it like they have a little checklist in their heart. And they're moving through the world going, check, check, nope, nope, check, nope, check. And to the degree that they can check the boxes internally, they're more attracted to something. And that's what emotional bonding really is. It's about finding out what somebody wants, how they know they're getting it, and what feelings and meanings a person experiences when those needs are met. Let me say that again. Emotional bonding is about finding out what people want, how they know they're getting it, what feelings having those needs met creates, and what meanings they assign to them. So, for example, if I'm doing couples counseling, or I'm mediating between two people who are in a relationship, and I say to person A, what's the one thing you need to have in a relationship in order to be happy and fulfilled and stay in that relationship? Person A says, oh, that's easy, David. Respect. I gotta know that in that relationship I'm respected and my feelings are held with regard. Perfect. Now, respect means different things to different people. So I'm curious, I'm wondering, how do you know when you're getting the respect that you need? How do you know when you're being respected or shown respect? Oh, David, that's really easy. I know you respect me when you tell me the truth. I know you respect me when you don't worry about whether something's going to hurt my feelings. You just tell me straight, and you just let me decide whether I'm going to be and my feelings are going to be hurt or not. And you're just straight with me. That's how I know you respect me. Cool. Now we take the same questions to person B. Person B, what do you absolutely have to have in a relationship in order to be fulfilled and happy and stay in that relationship? Oh, David, that's easy. I need to be respected. Oh, respect. Okay. So respect means different things to different people. How do you know when you're being respected? Person B says, well, that's easy, David. I know you respect me when you not just tell me the truth. You tell it to me in a way that doesn't make me feel stupid, hurt my feelings, or emotionally traumatize me in some way. Right? You take the time to think about how to phrase what you say so that it's not going to offend me unnecessarily. Oh. Now let me ask you guys a question. These two people are going to be in a relationship. What happens when these two people get in a fight or get in an argument? What do you think is going to happen? Usually what happens is this person tries to show respect by projecting and giving this person A tries to give person B their method of respect. Person B, that's not how they do respect. So they become disrespected. Person B tries to be diplomatic and explain and kind of circumnavigate rather than giving to them with both barrels. This person feels disrespected because they feel like this person is not getting to the point or lying to them. Right? There's different ways people will interpret not getting their needs met. But both of them believe that they're showing the other respect. And what you've got there is what we call a classic rules violation. It's the difference between the intention of the communication and the interpretation of the communication. The idea behind emotional bonding, level 1, is you find out exactly what a person wants within the context that they're interacting with them. Someone's coming to me, I'm a realtor, and someone's coming to me buy a house. What's the most important thing to you about the perfect house? Right? If someone's coming to me for dating advice, what's the most important thing to you about the perfect person? Right? If someone's coming to me to learn NLP, what's important to you about learning how to use NLP and Persuasion? Right? The what's important about question is the one that opens up the checklist and lets us explore it. right? Because people's emotional needs are based on the context in which they're operating. It's based on the situation or the environment that they find themselves in. It's different from things like social needs, where we talk about strength, power, intelligence, significance. Those things are meta. They tend to be cross-contextual. But also, they often wind up being secondary to the emotional needs that we have in a specific context. If that makes any kind of sense. So, when we do real emotional bonding out in the real world, what we want, we have something we want. We have something that we want, an agenda we want to move forward. The person we're presenting to has things that they want. They have needs they want satisfied. The secret to emotional bonding is, how do I take the things that they want and weld them to the things that I am offering, so that by going after the things I'm describing, these people perceive that they're getting exactly what they want. And how do I make sure I do that in an ethical way? The way we do that is through a series of questions that we keep asking over and over again. So there's 3 layers to this. First question is usually, what do you want? What's important about it? How do you know when you got it? Right? That's basically the template. I'm going to share a screen with you in a moment, but that's the basic idea behind it. So, you guys want to play? You guys want to play a game with me? Play the emotional motivation game? Just type yes or cool. All right. So what you need to do right now, I'm gonna go to my screen share again and see if I can do this without creating too much of a mess. So we're going to do emotional bonding. So this is you can take a screenshot of this if you want. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. All that, oops, that didn't work. Let me see if I can. Sometimes the touchscreen works, sometimes it doesn't. Not. There we go. Zoom it, please. I keep trying to zoom it, but it's not zooming well. It's not playing well with others. All right. Maybe what I'll do for those of you, I'll put a version of this in the chat, because I can barely see it now on this screen. So yeah, I don't like how OneNote's behaving. I may have to put this on a regular PowerPoint slide going forward. All right, so let's start with question A. What do you want? So on a piece of paper, write the question, what do you want? Right next to it, I'm going to give you a context. Each and every one of you, when you logged on for today's webinar, right? When you saw me advertising and promoting this webinar, there was something in your life that you want badly. On a scale of 0 to 10, it's like a 9, it's like a 27, right? Something that the techniques that you learn in this class, in this training, from these systems that I'm sharing with you, that it will do for you. I want you to write down what that is. I'm not going to ask you what it is. I'm not going to ask you to share with the class, so it can be as personal as you want. If you want to be the world's greatest pickup artist and go down putting notches on your bedpost or on your lipstick case, I don't care, right? If you want to be the world's greatest salesman and you just want to be able to close sales anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance, great, I don't care. If you want to be the greatest therapist or healer in the world using these techniques, right? Able to just talk somebody into complete belief changes any moment, any day. If you want to just protect yourself from being influenced and manipulated, I don't care what it is that is the most important thing to you as a byproduct of these techniques. What I care about is that you write it on the sheet. And because we're going to experience emotional motivation and emotional bonding together, so you understand just how powerful this is. And underneath that line, as you can see here, there's another question. What's it going to do for you? You come to this webinar, you get the magic technique, the magic principle, whatever it is, that you can now go out into the world and apply it. You've now applied it. What's it going to do? What's the result it's going to create for you? And stop for a moment and imagine what that result might be like. See it through your eyes, hear it through your ears, smell and taste it, right? And ask this question. Answer this question. What's important to you about having it? What does being able to do and create this result actually mean to you? What's important to you about having it? Pay very close attention to the exact words that pop into your mind first. Pay very close attention to the exact words that pop into your mind first. Right? Whatever that is, write it down. When you've written it down, type done in the chat so I know, and we'll continue with the next part of the process. Perfect. Now, take the answer, the last thing you wrote, the last answer you did, and ask yourself the question. Now that you're getting that, what's important to you about that? So you've gone through, I want this technique so I can have this result in my life, and it's going to make me more free, more wealthy, more safe, more secure, whatever it is. What's important to you about that? What's important to you about being more free? What's important to you about being more safe? What's important to you about being more secure? What's important to you about being more respected or well-liked or loved or whatever? What's important about it? And then what's important about that? Okay, so you've got your freedom now. You're able to go where you want, do what you want. What's important to you about that? And normally you would just keep repeating this process until you know you've got it. Until you've gotten about it. And what you should notice is as you cycle through each of these questions, more and more emotions are coming up. Right? More and more emotions are coming up. And because those emotions are coming up, you now know exactly how to fulfill your own emotional needs. You know exactly how you know when you're getting it, right? And that's the question. If any of these questions are ambiguous, all you have to do is ask yourself a simple clarifying question. How do you know when you're getting it? Or how will you know? Oops, I'm sorry, that's really teeny. That is not what I was planning on. Okay, I will give you a much deeper training on this in the courses that I'm going to be offering in just a moment. But I want you guys to, how will you know when you have it? Okay, I gotta move that up. There we go. How will you know when you have it? That's the clarifying question. As you're going through this emotional bonding checklist, if at any moment they answer a question and you don't know how it's fulfilled, you have to ask this question. How will you know when you have it? Right? For example, when I had Bernice on the phone, I could have said, well, Bernice, confidence means different things to different people. How will you know when Josh has the confidence you want him to have? And she might say, well, David, I know he'll stand up straight, he'll smile, he'll look people in the eye, he'll be able to shake give people a firm handshake. And that's how I'll know he can just walk up to those older, bigger kids and feel completely safe, natural, and comfortable. That's how I'll know he has the confidence. And Bernice, as a byproduct of this training, your son is going to move through the world with a greater sense of confidence. Every time he walks up to those kids, he'll be able to look them straight in the eye, shake their hand, and be completely comfortable, at home, and at ease. He'll be more focused than he's ever been, more confident than he's ever been. He'll stand up straighter, he'll stand up taller. And when you look at him, you'll realize something. That it was because of the training you got him that he can do all those things and become the best version of himself humanly possible. Now, thinking about it like that, how soon do you want to get started? Right? So what did I do here? Using Bernice as the example, I asked Bernice How will you know when Josh has the confidence? And she gave me a list of what? Criteria. Those are the check boxes on her list. All I have to do to get people excited to go forward is describe those things in the context of my product or service. Okay? So if you go back and you watch the replay, you'll hear me talking about as he goes through his lessons. When he comes home, you'll see the confidence. You'll see him shaking hands. You'll see him feeling comfortable. And you'll know it's because of the training you got him today. Right? So now we're linking and bonding the service that we're offering to the results they most want. Now here's the secret to this. When you present this way, you are literally opening up a person's heart, finding their heartstrings, and playing a song. That is a redonkulous amount of influence to have over another human being. And you can, in fact, get people to do things that are not in their best interests if you're deceptive. But you don't need to be deceptive. All you need to do is ask these questions, determine for yourself if what you're offering is a fit for what they need, and if it's a fit and you can deliver, bond them. If, as you question them and you go through their process and you find out what you have isn't what they need, it won't deliver the results they're looking for, send them somewhere else. Do the right thing. Because when you do the right thing, they will remember that. And they will remember that you were honest, you were straightforward, you gave them feelings, you took the time to know them and understand them. You have created a relationship with that person. And even if they can't do business with you right then and there, they will find a way to do business with you in the future, and they will refer people to you over and over and over again. Okay? This is the next level of the echo technique because it goes right to the things that are most emotionally important to you and to the clients and to the people you're working with. Okay? They will move heaven and earth to get the things that are in their heart. Okay? So you guys ready for the next level of this? Are you ready to play? I want you to stand up. Now if you're driving, don't do this. Okay? Hold on a second. I'm going to jump out of screen share. And okay. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think of that thing that you want from today's webinar, right? The ultimate result. I want you to look at the answers to your questions. And in the context of this training, I want you to read these things out loud and fantasize about having them. Right? Just read them out loud 5 times. When you've read them out loud 5 times, I want you to go ahead and type done in the chat. Okay, go ahead and do that now. Done. Okay, so I want you to stop for a moment when you're done. I want you to think about how you felt before you read from the list and notice how you feel now. Done-ish. Okay. What just happened to your desire and your sense of wanting something? You feel like it's attainable, and it is, 100%. 100%. All right. So at the beginning of today's webinar, Stephanie's excited. Excellent. That's what we want. Now, when we do it to ourselves, we call it the emotional motivation checklist. If you did this to yourself, you would blow procrastination right out the window. If you do this with any aspect of your business or your goal or your family or relationships, you're going to get so much clarity on what truly fulfills you and what you need to bring the chaos. When I did this with my mastermind group, we did something called a variation of this called the Life Values Inventory. And we had a lot of people who didn't have a lot of clarity on what they wanted in life or what kind of business they wanted, things like that. By the time they were done with this aspect, they knew so clearly what they wanted to do, what was important and what wasn't. They took off like a rocket, right? That's an extension of this, right? We'll teach you about that in the mastermind trainings. Now, at the beginning of the webinar, I told you I would take you as far down this rabbit hole as I could. I would show you some of the most powerful, useful, immediately applicable techniques that I can think of, that I know of, that have stood the test of time, and I would show you where to go to level it up and take it to the next level. Let me ask you a question, in all honesty. Have I lived up to my promise? Always do. Thank you. Thank you. So with your permission, I'd like to go ahead and show you the entire system and what I put together for you so that you guys can decide how far down the influence and persuasion rabbit hole you want to go, right? All right, so without further ado, I'm going to just show you the PowerPoint just because. I'd like to present, hold on. I was flowing so smoothly there. There we go. I'd like to teach you I'd like to present the Secrets of Human Influence Ultra Persuasion Mastery Home Study Course. This is a series of programs that I've put together designed with the exclusive purpose of teaching you how to go from Persuasion Zero to Persuasion Superhero in the shortest amount of time possible. If you take the time to follow the programming in these courses, you'll be able to influence anyone, anytime, anywhere, under any situation or circumstance to do practically whatever you want them to do, and it will be in a completely ethical, honest, and fulfilling way. People will actually thank you. People will come up with their own reasons for doing the things they just told you they did not want to do, and they'll be grateful to you for it. Don't believe me? Test the material, right? So yes, you can make more money with this. You can close deals, you can get dates, you can help a lot of people with this. In fact, probably one of the most powerful applications is in helping other people become more of who they want and desire to be. You'll become more confident. You'll become more powerful. If life is a game, you'll be the one winning it because you'll understand the rules better than anybody on the planet in an ethical and honest way. You'll be able to protect yourself from the predators of the world because you'll understand what they're doing. You'll be able to recognize it, and all along the way, you'll automatically become more charming, charismatic, and irresistible. And as you look at your list, realize that what you got on that list, the things you want and desire most, that's just the beginning. It's only going to get stronger if you take the time to acquire and put into practice the programs I'm going to share with you in just a moment. So let's talk about that for a moment. This offer is good until April 14th, 2026. That's tonight. What's it going to get? You're going to start with the 17-video, 7-stage Universal Persuasion Protocol program. This is the core Secrets of Human Influence training. It's going to teach you how to think like a master of influence. Influencers and persuaders don't think like the average human being, right? They have a different agenda. They're very goal-oriented. And so you're going to learn how to flip that switch on and off so that you can go into persuader mode anytime you need to. You're going to teach you how to control your own emotional states on demand so nobody can push your buttons ever again. You'll be able to enter or exit any emotional state at will on demand anytime you want. And if somebody takes you by surprise, knocks you off kilter, you'll be able to recover instantly. Within seconds or minutes, you'll be back to your game, right? We're going to teach you how to take that state control training that I've just described and use it as leverage, how to use it to powerfully fuel your rapport skills so that you'll be able to get in deep levels of connection and rapport with anyone you meet, anytime, anywhere, under any situation or circumstance for any reason. It's really, really powerful. We have 3 different levels of rapport that we teach in this system, and each one is good for different things. So you have classic rapport, you have coherence, which is a heart, mind, brain, proprioceptive type of phenomena. You have vibing, which is used specifically for attraction protocols and things of that nature. We're going to talk about the 7 most powerful, irresistible, hypnotic language patterns that exist. These language patterns aren't the ones that you would think would be the most powerful. NLP has about 31 to 61 different language patterns that it teaches. These are buried amongst those 61 patterns and nobody tells you that these are the single most powerful set of hypnotic power words and language tools that exist. Once you understand these patterns, you become a walking hypnotic induction. The moment you start talking, people start going into trance. They start feeling good all over. They start unconsciously nodding their head, and they just will hang on every word that you say. Okay? If you teach you how to manage your emotional states at will, you can name and describe a state and people will just go into it. How to look at a person's own internal behavior code and utilize it so that they understand you better. Right? They'll automatically do the things that their nervous system has been programmed to do through their own strategies. Finally, you've gotten a little taste of how to emotionally bond to anyone's deepest desires to get them to do what you want them to do, and how to speed read anyone in 90 seconds or less. You're also going to get a 240 plus page manual called the Killer Influence Mind Control Manifesto. This is the manual we use in our Killer Influence training programs, which again is the #1 NLP program in the world to date. Okay, it is the most powerful, and many persuasion teachers have utilized the information in that manual to create their own systems or derivatives of it. Right? Total value on this is $2,497. But if you grab this program today, before I log off the webinar, before 11:59 p.m. tonight, we're going to include a bunch of really cool free bonuses that will take this core training that you've got, which is already better than just about any other program out there. Don't take my word for it, by the way. Just talk to the people in the chat who have these programs, who've gone through the trainings. They'll tell you, right? We're going to give you some extra bonuses that will allow you to just expand the scope of what you're capable of. So the first one is called Weapons of Mass Instruction. This is the art and neuroscience of narrative persuasion and storytelling. Perhaps the single most powerful hypnotic tool that we have at our disposal, the one that our nervous system is most vulnerable to, is the art and science of storytelling and narrative persuasion. Now, when I was first wanted to learn about the power of stories and things like that, I went through course after course after course, and they were all saying the same things, and none of it was telling me what I really wanted and needed to know. And so I realized that if I was going to ever find the course that would teach me the things I wanted and needed to know about story work in the way I wanted and needed to know it, I was going to have to create it, and that's what you've got here. This is the class on story work I would have wanted to take that gives me the biggest bang for my buck, and it's going to give you the biggest bang for yours. It's going to teach you about how to use stories to connect with another human being. Short little stories that you can tell that bond you instantly. It's going to teach you about stories that are used for motivation, inspiration, right? We call these stories our alpha stories. These are stories that are common sales stories and things of that nature. We're going to teach you how to use stories to resolve and secretly melt resistance to persuasion and influence. These are called omega stories. And these are some of the most little understood, little known forms of stories on the planet. We're going to teach you about how to do what we call ninja stories. And ninja stories are how to use big stories or little stories as delivery mechanisms for other advanced persuasion techniques. There's probably, I think, last time I looked, there was at least 14 or 15 other persuasion techniques that you can embed inside of a story that just magnifies the force and the power of the story work that you're doing. Stories by themselves are practically irresistible, but you can use them to deliver all kinds of other powerful hypnotic persuasion tools. If you've got somebody who's highly resistant, children are massively susceptible to learning by story. If you're getting in arguments with your children, right? And you're trying to logic them into doing something, sometimes telling a story about somebody else's experience will land more powerfully than looking them directly in the face and saying, this is what happens when you do that. Remember, people resist what they are told, they accept what they conclude. And that is truly the power of a well-told story. It causes people to make conclusions that nobody else told them, and because they make the conclusion, they are 100% bought into it. Even if they're diametrically opposed to the moral of the story. It softens and morphs their attitudes and beliefs because it gives them a vicarious experience of what having that thing might be like. All right, it's based on the work of Dr. Eric Knowles, who wrote a book called Resistance and Persuasion. It's a little dry, but it's brilliant. because of what it's teaching you. This is how you functionalize that. And just hearing that I'm about to tell a story will cause people to go into a profound trance. It's a $1,997 value. We're going to give this to you absolutely 100% free because we want you to flesh out and round out your ability to deliver powerful influence and communication in any situation or circumstance. And there will be times, with as powerful as the core training is, you're going to need stories. Stories are going to carry the day when nothing else will, right? This is one of those times. But we'll warn you up front, this is easily one of the densest, most heady of the topics that we're teaching in these programs. This is the apex of everything else that we teach, because everything that we teach up to this point can be put into a story, but stories by themselves can stand alone, and that's what's cool. So the total value on this, with what I've discussed previously and this, is $4,494. We're also going to include easily one of the most powerful conversational hypnotic tools I've ever come across. This program is called Renegade Reframing. You also hear me refer to it sometimes as CPI Level 3. Now, Renegade Reframing is all about the art and science of conversational belief change. When you understand these 14 patterns, the way they're taught in Renegade Reframing, you'll be able to overcome any objection, anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance. You'll be able to turn the tables on any argument and transform non-believers into buyers. The first person you do this on is yourself, though. You list down all your own limiting beliefs, you learn these patterns, and you use these patterns on your own limiting beliefs. And by the time you're done, you will never be able to think in that old, limited, rigid way ever again. This is worth getting just for the effect it has on you. Okay? If you're ever being gaslighted or future promised by narcissists or predators in the future, this is the way you turn the tables on them. This is the way you fight back. Renegade Reframing gives you the tools to stop these people, pardon me, neurolinguistically speaking, dead in their tracks. Right? So as a transformation tool, it's amazing. As a self-defense tool, it's even more amazing. Right? There's no place that this will not help you. Right? There was a question that some of the YouTubers were asking prior to today's webinar about, well, what if I'm out in a party and I'm trying to meet this attractive person, and some other guy or some other guy is trying to like muscle in and like bully me and trying to impress the girl. And I said, laugh at him and reframe the experience. Right? That tool is definitely it comes directly from this particular course right here. So again, remember I said this earlier, the person that controls the frame controls the game, right? I talked to you about this when I was talking about matching and mirroring and getting caught versus continue to match and mirror or not. This is taking that to a whole other level. Once you understand this, you will never be outframed. Okay? There will always be something you can say, always something you can do. Okay? So $1,997 value. We're giving it to you free. All you got to do is grab the core programs. We're going to bundle these right alongside of it so you have the full Monty, to be a little bit more provocative. Now, I'm not sure how many of you engage in any form of presenting or social media or anything like that, or give presentations within your business. But if you've ever seen people like Tony Robbins or Lisa Sasevich or Robert Allen or what's his name? Joe Dispenza. If you've ever seen these people standing on stage and talking, and all of a sudden they give a cue and half the room gets up and stampedes to the back of the room to buy everything that's being offered. That's what this course will teach you how to do. This is the course that pulls back the curtain on the art and science of hypnotic presentation skills. The secrets behind the secrets. Right? This will teach you everything that these people are doing from the stage on the audience to get them to rush back like a herd to buy product and service, to install change powerfully into the minds and hearts of people in the audience. Perhaps just as importantly, it will give you the ability to perceive what high-level speakers and presenters are doing to you from the stage. It's going to level the playing field. You can use all or none of these techniques to help your own business, to help your own self grow and become more prosperous, or if for no other reason, you can use them to keep yourself and your hard-earned money where it belongs, in your pocket, instead of giving it to some guru who's promising you the farm with hypnotic tools and then not delivering on the products or the promises that they're making, right? The one thing we demand in NLP, in Planet David, is that we have the most powerful system of human influence on the planet. I will put what we do up against anyone, anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance. But one of the things I absolutely demand is that when you learn this, you learn it in strict compliance, strict harmony with your own sense of personal ethics. Okay? We're the good Jedi. We don't need to lie. We don't need to steal. We don't need to deceive. We don't need to misrepresent. All we need to do is find out what you want, how you know you're getting it, and show you the path to get what you want most powerfully through our methods. That's how we roll, right? So again, everything we do from the side of the angels. But you need to know these tools. You need to have these tools if you want the maximum advantage possible, and to keep other people, other entities or agencies from taking advantage of you, right? There's a two-edged sword to this, okay? If you can't perceive it, you can't defend it, right? It's a $1,997 value. We're going to give this to you 100% free, just for grabbing your Secrets of Human Influence program today. It's the full Monty, guys. It covers resistance, it covers storytelling, it covers presentations to one-on-one, presentations to large groups of people. It's all connected, and it's all connected through the CPI model, which is the core killer influence training. Okay, so let's review what we got so far. You're going to get the Secrets of Human Influence Core Home Study Package, valued at $2,497. You're going to get the Weapons of Mass Instruction, Neuroscientific Storytelling Secrets. You're going to get Renegade Reframing, how to instantly overcome any objection or change any belief in seconds. And of course, Charisma and Conversion, Hypnotic Presentation Skills for Public Speakers. Total value on this is $8,488 if you were to buy them individually through the website. However, I want to give you guys a deal. I want you guys to kind of grab a hold of this, take the bull by the horns, and really, especially now in the current economy with all the craziness that's happening, the person who can create the most trust, the person who can create the most liking, the person who can create the most emotional bonding, they're the ones that are going to come away with the greatest amount of prosperity, freedom, love, and enjoyment they can possibly have. The people without it are the ones who are going to pay the price. They're going to be at the mercy of those who don't have these skills. So total value on this is $8,488, but we're not even going to charge you that. What about $5,347? Nope. How about $3,347? Would that be a good deal? Robert Plank says yes. He's not here, but I did a podcast with him this morning, and we had some fun. It's a long time before we met. But what about $1,497? Would that be a good price for this kind of information, for this kind of power? Would that be something that would change your life? Well, I'm not even going to make you pay that. How about if we get everything I just described and a whole lot more for one low installment of just $997? And if you need a little extra juice, you can break that up into 3 easy installments of just $397 each. You can take 3 months to pay that off in whatever way is appropriate to you. All you got to do to get yours is go to www.nlppower.com/mind. Is it mind or is it? Is that the right URL? Oh, nlppower.com/killerinfluence.com/go. I have 2 different URLs. I'm sorry, I goofed. Mia, which is the right URL? This PowerPoint has a typo. All right, well, let's go to killerinfluence.com. I know killerinfluence.com is right, so go with that one. killerinfluence.com/go. Right? And for those of you who are excited already, you got some more good stuff coming. If you grab your package before April 14th, 2026, you're going to get these extra fast action bonuses. First one is going to be a 3-month trial membership to the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program. Now, this is a program we've been running pretty much every year since October of 2010. And the third Saturday of every month, people come in. I say, Dee Dee, what do you want to learn? Tracy, what do you want to learn? Tiara, what do you want to learn? Right? And I write those down on the screen, on my little screen, and I step back and I look at them, and I look where all the kind of overlap and connect, and I create a lesson plan for you guys right on the spot. And for the next 4.5 to 5 hours, we drill on those skills over and over and over again until you can do them in your sleep. Okay? You won't get a certificate from the 3-month trial membership. What you will get is something much more valuable. You will get the actual hands-on, real-world feedback from people training and myself on how to do these skills in the way that you need them done. If at the end of 90 days, 3 months, you decide you want to continue, you like how cool the people are in the mastermind, you want to stay, we'll show you how to extend your membership. If you decide you got what you need, we will wish you luck and be excited to hear about your success stories as you move through the world applying the skill sets you came to learn. Right? Now, for the last 15 years now, we have videotaped every single training, and we've archived those on our NLP Power website or on our YouTube channel or on our private Facebook groups. There will eventually be a full, big, unified archive that you'll be able to access. And when you're a bona fide member in good standing to the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, you have unlimited access to that entire 14-year video archive. Videos that have never been featured in a product, never been seen to the public on YouTube, nothing. These are private, small group training videos that cover every skill set that we have, from psychic skills to manifestation to therapy to attraction to accelerated learning, improved memory, regression therapy, social dynamic, you name it, NLP, hypnotherapy, you name it. If it's in our wheelhouse, right, it's come up in the practice groups, and we've taught courses and modules on it. So you'll be able to binge watch all that stuff for as long as you want as a member of the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program. At least, and you can binge watch as much as you want it for the 90 days that you're there. If you decide to extend your membership, you have it for as long as you're a member in good standing. We're going to give this to you for free, not because we want to load you up with more stuff, but because we want you to have an opportunity to actually practice these skills in an environment where you can get feedback, get critiques, and just really hone down on your ability to actually use these things. It's one thing to know about something. It's another thing to be able to do something. It's kind of like the difference between reading the menu and eating the food. We want you to be fed. So this is going to get you fed. Okay? It's a $1,597 value. We're going to give this to you 100% free. Total combined value on this to date is $10,085 if my math is correct. But we're also going to include, so some of you are impatient like me, we're going to give you a way to get started really fast. This is the Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course. This is a program I invented many, many years ago. It has been one of our most popular programs, and it is designed specifically to take you from zero to hero in a couple of hours. If you just watch 2 videos, you will have the exact knowledge you need to be able to start hypnotizing people anytime, anywhere, under any situation or circumstance. There's at least 4 or 5 different bonus videos in this course. It comes with MP3s, transcripts, manuals, PowerPoints. I think there's a video on instant and rapid inductions. There's 2 videos on the most powerful language patterns that exist. There's a video course on what we call hypnotic hot buttons, which is an abbreviated form of emotional bonding that we've talked about in this video. I think there's one on lie detection. And I think there's also one on hypnotic anchoring from Neuro-Linguistic Program. It's a really big, robust program, and it will take it's designed to be learned tonight so you can use it tomorrow. There's no fluff. It's all just hardcore, real-world information. Okay? It's a $997 value. We're going to give this to you absolutely free if you click the links before I log off the webinar. So everything before the fast action bonuses is available until 11:59 p.m. tonight. Anything that is a fast action bonus, those are only available as long as you click the link while I'm on the webinar. Now, if you have any questions about anything, you can call Mia or Moss or myself at 858-282-4663. That's 858-282-4663. Now, usually when we hit this point in the webinar, the phone just starts beeping off the hook. So you'll probably get our voicemail. If you get our voicemail, this is important. Please, 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 please leave your full name, your phone number, that we can hear it and understand it, and an email, and the time you called. Now, usually the voicemail includes the time you called, but just in case. Now, why is that? Because if you call us now, before the end of the webinar, you will qualify for all the bonuses that I've discussed with so far, and then some. If you call and you don't leave your contact information and you try to reach out to us after the webinar or the next day, you will not qualify for the fast action bonuses. Okay? We want you to have this. It's important to understand that. We want you to have this. Okay? We want it to be a win-win for everybody. So please help us help you. If you're going to call, you have questions, by all means, leave your name and contact information and we'll get back to you. Now, I saw it in the chat. People were asking, well, what if I have some of these courses already? Not a problem. If you see courses here that you want, but they're mixed with courses you've already got, just pick up the phone or send an email to Mia at NLP Power, and we will let you swap out any course that you already have for any other course of equal or lesser value. So if, let's say you have Renegade Reframing, right? And you don't want to, you want the program, but you don't want to get it, you don't want the same course, just pick up the phone, let us know. We'll find a simple, we'll look at the prices, we'll look at what's available, and we'll let you customize your package, right? No fuss, no muss, okay? Everything in the program is guaranteed for 60 days. If after 60 days, if before 60 days are up, you're not satisfied for any reason, let us know. If we can't make it right, we'll give you a refund. It's that simple. Right? We want you to be successful with this, and you're our best advertisements, right? Our successful students are the reason why we've been around for so long and why we continue to be the pinnacle or the apex of influence, ethical influence and persuasion in the world. It's guys like you, girls like you, who make it all happen. We want you to be successful with this, okay? It's a $997 value. We're going to give this to you 100% free. Now, this is what's really cool. This is one of our VIP Anything Goes super tickets. This is only available for the next 15 people who click this link right now while I'm on the webinar. What's this going to do for you? This VIP super event bonus ticket gives you free access. It's a free pass to any single 3, 4, or 5 day intensive event in our calendar for between now and the end of time. So what you see underneath your choice of any single 3 to 5 day intensive is the upcoming events list for the next 4 months. Okay, there are events in August that you can also qualify for. If you don't see something here that you want to attend, you can hold on to that VIP ticket and use it for something else, right? The VIP ticket, once you have it, once you're in the database, it does not expire. You have it until you use it, right? So coming up, April 28th through May 2nd is our Vibrational Influence Advanced Energy Mastery Practitioner Certification Bootcamp. This is a complete deep dive into the art and science of neuroenergetic programming, processing, manifestation, and manipulation. We'll be doing everything from hermetic skills training to remote viewing, remote influence. We might even do a little bit of mindsight training. We'll teach you the most powerful manifestation tools that exist, 5 different forms of energy healing, 5 different forms of ways to remotely heal somebody. And that's just what I can remember off the top of my head. It is a complete transformation training program that is designed to tap into the latent powers of your nervous system with as little woo as humanly possible in a way that you can actually test what you're doing. We'll teach you how to raise and lower people's blood pressure from across the room, and we'll use instruments for you to prove it to yourself that you're making that happen. We'll show you how to raise blood pressure or lower blood pressure, raise body temperature, lower body temperature. You'll be able to do these things and prove them to yourself in a simple, easy, fun way. So everything about what we teach in Planet David is about influence. Influencing yourself, influencing other people, and vibrational influence is where we take it to another level, which is about influencing things, influencing the building blocks of reality is probably a good way to say it. Okay. This is the one time of the year where we will not require people to have taken Killer Influence or Identity by Design first. So if you're interested in this level of training or this kind of programming, when would now be a good time to click that link and reserve your spot, right? For those of you who just want healing, that you just got stuff you want to clear, healings you want to facilitate, our next release and reset virtual healing intensive is coming up May 15th through the 17th. It's a completely online experience. You can do it in your underwear from the privacy of your own home. And it's just you and a small cohort of people being led through one healing process after another, after another, after another for 3 days. So you come in with a list of stuff you want to fix. By the end of those 3 days, all that stuff and more is off the list. That's the goal. That's the intention. Right? Neuromastery Integrative NLP Practitioner Certification. This is my version of the NLP Practitioner Training Certification process. It is not the classic approach. It is a very new, modern, no holds barred, get it done fast and no matter what, simple, easy, user-friendly approach. It integrates things from both Master Prac and practitioner training and a lot of stuff that's specific to Planet David. In fact, one of the things that happens if anytime I do this particular course and I try to teach the older NLP techniques, people look at me like, why is this so slow? Why is this so clunky? It's because it hasn't been honed in the real world like our stuff has, right? Doesn't mean it doesn't work, it just means it's not as fluid, right? That's May 26th to May 30th here in San Diego. And then, of course, coming up June 11th to the 14th is our Self-Defense Supercharger, Secrets of Internal Power. And this is all the neuroscience and NLP and performance enhancement training applied to self-defense. This is the one time a year where I break out my black belt and I bring in some of my colleagues, and for 3 or 4 days, we do nothing but train the physical energetics of things and the psychoenergetics of things, the secret bodies methodologies that allow small people to really protect themselves against larger people and just make you healthier overall. It's a lot of fun, and I just get to show you all the really cool forbidden stuff that I'm not allowed to teach people who aren't in the martial art, in the particular schools of martial arts that I share, right? You don't have to have any kind of martial arts training to do this. That's the beauty of it, because the first class is just teaching you how to get into learning mode, tapping into the powers of your own physiology so that you can unlock your physicality and really feel what it's like to be fully in your body, and then what you can do with it once you're there, right? Total value on this is $2,497. It's yours for free. So the total value of everything we've described so far is $13,579, right? And this is what you got, right? Secrets of Human Influence Home Study Course, valued at $2,497. Weapons of Mass Instruction, $1,997 value. We're going to give that to you free. Renegade Reframing, Charisma Conversion, NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, the Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course, the VIP Anything Goes Super Ticket. Total package value is $13,579. You get it all of it instantly for one low installment of just $997 or 3 easy installments of $397. All you got to do to get yours is go to www.killerinfluence.nlppower.com/go. Apparently they keep changing my links. Whatever link is in the chat, that's the one you use, right? This is what I get for mixing and matching PowerPoints and not looking at the last minute. All right, so that's what we got for you. Go ahead and click that link. I will be happy to take any questions that you have. Go ahead and type them in the chat, and we'll go from there. Same for you guys in YouTube land. Let me just put your chat up here. All right. Talk to me. What do you got? If there's a price discrepancy, reach out to Mia. She'll clarify it for you. If it says $797, we will honor that because it's our mistake. Charlotte says, cheers. It happens. It happens. Charlotte, you've been to one of our virtual healing intensives, haven't you? I think you did. Stephanie says, do I consult? Yes, I do, Stephanie. So when you say consult, are you looking to do one-on-one sessions, or are you looking for something, again, if you want to talk privately, you can either email me at david@nlppower.com, or you can give us a call at 858-282-4663, and we're happy to book a consult or a strategy session with you and see how we can best help you. Cool. Any other questions about the content of the webinar, the persuasion, trouble? If you guys have any thing you want to troubleshoot, I'm happy to help you out. You guys are quiet. I'm either a great teacher or I've completely lost you. All right. Well, I've probably got time. If there are no more questions, I've probably got... Charlotte says, so I can practice with word to choose to... Dee Dee says, great teacher. Flattery will get you everywhere, Dee Dee. So I can practice which word to choose to echo. Well, ideally, Charlotte, what you want if you want to master the echo technique, at least the way I do it with my students, is I want you to just do as much verbatim echoing as humanly possible. Truly. I mean, the fastest way to become amazing at this is to do it the hardest way possible. Just memorize and repeat it back verbatim. But do it from that place of, I'm doing this because I want to understand you better. I want to show you. I want to signal to you that I hear you, that I understand you, that I'm going to... if you come from that place, you can't echo badly. Tracy says, you are great. I was looking at your complete David Snyder library. You cannot go wrong with a package deal like that. That package was actually not my idea. That goes to Brandon. Brandon Burr created that. And people have loved it. We've had a bunch of people grab it because they just want to binge, right? So yeah, it's a great package. So cool. All right. Did you guys have anything else that you'd like me to teach you before we log off the webinar? So once again, second call. If you're on the fence, the Secrets of Human Influence home study course, Weapons of Mass Instruction, Renegade Reframing, Charisma Conversion. I can't make a more powerful influence and persuasion package than this one. I look at this thing and I'm like, I'm still giving them way too much. But this is really covers all the bases. Julie says, stick coins to walls. You're just not going to give that up, are you, Julie? All right, so in case you don't know, in the past year and a half, I decided that the next level of neurological development or neuroplastic phenomena that I wanted to focus on would be in the realm of weird stuff like psychokinesis and things of that nature. So because I'm a neurolinguistic programmer, I'm really good at figuring out how people do what they do. I'm trained in it. So past year and a half to 2 years, I have been studying intensely with people from all over the world who can do really crazy stuff. I've trained with a guy who can literally send electricity through you like he's an electric eel, who can make stuff spin in sealed containers, stick coins to walls, make things like that. And his last name wouldn't be Fazio, would it be, Tracy? Yep. Yeah, I've studied Chris Fazio's work intensely, even though he doesn't know who I am. I know all about the Heaven Mountain lineage and how he trains and all the people he hangs out with. Yes, I do. And I've recently started showing my students what we can do behind closed doors. And so Julie was at our last Identity by Design training, And I was one of my friends is Rob, who's one of my colleagues in the Chinese energetic medicine training. And I was showing him how to stick coins to walls. And we were talking about it, and some of my students overheard it. And I was teaching hypnosis, and they just asked me to demonstrate. So I just grabbed a coin, and I walked up and I stuck it to the wall. And then Miss Julie Holmes, who's in the chat, that night, I lit a fire under her or something. She sends me pictures of like 27 coins stuck to her hotel room wall. And by the end of the training, everybody was sticking stuff to walls. So it's just one of those bizarre things. Oh, Tracy, I would congratulations. That's exciting. That's really exciting. I don't believe in coincidences, Tracy, at all. So give Chris even though he's never met me, give him my very best. Seriously, I am a big fan. Right? Anyway, cool. All right. Well, that's what I got for you. You guys got any other questions? Any of our YouTubers have a question that you'd like answered? So for those of you who like the weird stuff that I just talked about, that's some of the stuff that we'll be playing with at Vibrational Influence. Now that's a live in-person training only, so there's no Zoom option at the present time. So you're going to have to be here if you want to come to that. But for those of you who can't make it, we do have lots of Vibrational Influence training video courses that you could swap out for your in your Secrets of Human Influence training program. Right? Wow, psychedelic baby. All right, well, that's what I got. Again, I'm going to be logging off in less than 4 minutes, so if you're on the fence, if you want to claim those fast action bonuses, now's the time. Click the links, www.nlppower.com/go. www.nlppower.com/go. If you guys have any questions, please call us or write us, and we'll be happy to do what we can to move your life forward. Right? This is the moment, as Mia likes to say. Oh, Shaduja, I haven't seen you in forever. Oh, Shaduja says, hi David, nice to bump into you again. I can tell that on one hand, some of the stuff I learned from you saved my life, some got me into trouble. But I manifested stuff. Great. And unfortunately, she's not as rich as she wants to be or as healthy, but she's on the way. Good for her. All right. That's all I got. In the words of the immortal Carol Burnett, I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems we just got started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. Thank you all for hanging out. Take the techniques, use them, click those links. I'll see you on the other side. It just gets better from here. Good night. God bless. Have a great day. Take care.